Hey everybody, welcome to WideNet Gaming. Taking a look today at We Happy Few. It's a first-person action-adventure game with RPG survival roguelite elements while having a roguelite separate mode. Now, it's set in post-World War II, alternate history, Wellington Wells, set in the 1960s.
Here we go, darling. Baby milk. You won't believe
The story is
what Mommy had to
separated
do to
across
get this
3
for
acts
you.
following 3 different characters that have different mechanics surrounding them. And these are explained very well. When you're starting a new act, it says what the character can and cannot do. The first one with Arthur Hastings, he's jack of all trades. Sally Boyle is your chemist. She's not as good at combat, but she can blend in. Then Ollie Starkey is your combat-oriented, but he's not as good at blending in. So it does a good job covering kind of all their bases. With the map, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed. You have the different markers, more bare bones, but it works fine. Other than that, with the story, I found some loading screens quite a bit, but it's not too out of control. But when you're doing some things, it's this long hiccup, and I like the little kind of Pink Panther presentation they had with it. Other than that, with the story, you have 2 parts it does it. You have these masks you pick up where it does a little cheap cutscene of for each of the characters that you can collect, and then the second part is the cutscenes that you'll run into here and there. And this works fine. It's a AA game, so there isn't a big budget, and they've gradually added more as the game has been updated. The part I did like is the kind of intersecting story that you have here. The first part's Arthur Hastings. I'm running into Sally Boyle, and all the characters intersect. And then the second part here, I'm Sally. I'm running into Arthur, and they don't align like perfectly. Like this happens earlier on, I believe, for Sally, and then later for Arthur's character arc. Besides that, it does have that roguelike kind of sandbox part to it, but it lets you know when the game is about to end if you want to explore other things by this point of no return at the end of each act. The gameplay boils down to fight or flight, exploration, and then non-combat you have the crafting, and then maintaining your character's sleep, food, water, and health. And the crafting system works well. Like there's a whole interface that you have, and it tells you kind of the ingredients you need. And then to put all your crafting materials, there's a mnemonic stash at each of the fast travel locations where your character becomes encumbered if they have too much, so you have to kind of put everything there. And then for the story, this works well. You don't need to carry it with you. You can craft anywhere in the world. You just need it in your stash. And then this is different for the other ones, which I'll get into a bit later. Other than that, I've heard about like glitches, but this has been the least of all the games, of the AA and indie games that I have encountered. It's just this one. This guy's sitting, and he's kind of coasting along here. So I think it's fine. The update is in the arcade mode. There's 3 new modes. There's a survival, night watch, and sandbox mode. Sandbox mode, you can change everything, number of NPCs, the difficulty, and the layout. The night watch mode is a horde style where you're playing a Bobby, a policeman, and you have to survive different waves. And as you take out characters, it gives you money. You can buy equipment, and you have to always stay on Blackberry Joy while this is going on. The main meat and potatoes of it is the survival mode, and this is kind of the original game way back when that is kind of emphasizing the roguelite elements. And here, this is an example of where it works really well. And my favorite kind of part, where I'm just trying to get water here. It's one of the materials I need, but there's a guy guarding it, so I got to kind of get around him. And this works well. In the story mode, it's kind of at odds because you have checkpoints, so there isn't much of a point to it. Like you're not really ever in danger. The mode is explained very well, though. It tells you kind of what's going on, and you spawn in one of 2 locations. You're either in a church out in the garden, kind of in the country, or you're in the city in the utility room. Now, to get to each location, you need a key card, and they kind of spawn in the same place. I went to the same exact house, and it was in the same exact place. And this is shown on your map after you've explored a bit. It's a black circle with a little eye. You search one of those locations in a town, and that'll give you the key card. It's kind of like Doom, where you have a key card, you go to the next one, even though the mechanics are completely different. There's no guns or anything. Sound is good. There's a difference, like if you're hitting someone with a shuffle, with a lead pipe in the combat, and the crafting system, that works well. And it has a 1960s vibe. You have the Uncle Jack kind of news broadcasts, which are good. And it does well. Again, presentation is good in this game. Single player and no online, just you. I don't recommend the game, but just barely. This is the closest it's been for me. The minor gripes aren't a big deal, like the repeated NPC character skins are kind of mundane, searching for crafting materials, how the city's laid out when you're outside it and kind of going in. Main one is the AI. When they're during fight and flight, when they're going after you, the search isn't wide enough, and they don't go after you aggressively enough. And when you're like looting buildings too, I was surprised. I unlocked it. I kept a door unlocked, and a character went after me. But when I lock it, they just kind of go off. So I should break down a door or something. I would think. But I mean, the story I liked, and also if you see past the AI behavior, and it's definitely worth checking this out on Game Pass if you have it. Because it is a very unique experience with the roguelite elements, and most of what I had is with the survival mode, definitely. Like that, emphasized the roguelike elements more. Anyway, like, subscribe if you really liked it, and I will see you next time.